Great. So we are recording, and then I'm going to go ahead and share the PowerPoint with you guys so you can follow along with us. And I'll go ahead and give it over to Richard. This is Richard DePaso, the owner of Aardvark Video.
Well, hello, and thank you for tuning in today. I'm hoping that I can provide some information valuable to you and your business on some of the trends and how to of using video as a marketing, social media, and training tool for business. Can also be used for revenue generation. There's a lot of things that video can be used for, and I'm not going to be able to cover all of that, but I'm going to give you a little bit with probably an emphasis on trends and marketing that you can do. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am and how I got here and how our business was formed and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to talk about why video is important to your business. I'm going to show some demographics and trends when I do that. I'm going to talk quite a bit about marketing with video, and there's two aspects which we'll get into. One is a value proposition, and the other is content marketing. And content marketing is really engaging with the video that you produce. I'm going to talk a little bit about the video process itself and how that is accomplished, the components of pre-production, production, and post-production. And I'm going to provide you just some inexpensive video tools that if you've never created a video, you can get started and learn a lot with, and actually do some pretty good work. And I'll talk briefly on other uses of video besides for marketing, such as training, for revenue generating, that type of thing. And finally, as Rachel indicated, we're going to open the session up to questions. So let's start with who I am. A long time ago, in a place far, far away, I lived in New York, and I worked for New York Telephone, which is now part of Verizon, and I had to commute 2 hours each way to get to work and then 2 hours to get home, and I really wasn't too happy about that. And though I had a great job with company-wide responsibilities, it was miserable, particularly in the winter when you had to go through all this stuff just to get to work. At some point, I decided that I didn't want to do this for the rest of my life, and in 1987, started a part-time video business on the weekends. I got this idea to do this, and used that as an exit strategy. And that was my business in New York, and on the left side, that's my wife, Jenny. By the time I was able to retire from Verizon in 1995, I was only 51. I had a full-fledged business running with several full-time employees already working for me that I was able to transition to seamlessly. Now, I grew up in sunny Florida, and I didn't like the cold in New York, but I couldn't convince my wife, who you saw earlier, to move to a warmer climate until our two sons moved out west, one to Las Vegas and the other to San Diego. I spent 2 years visiting neighborhoods in both and decided on Las Vegas. There you go. Welcome to Las Vegas. I split the business in two, one in New York and the other in Las Vegas, Aardvark Video. I spent a couple of years commuting between the two businesses, one in New York and the other out here, and it was just too much. I hated that just about as much as I hated traveling through snow. So after a few years, we sold the business, in New York to the people that were working for me, and we concentrated on just being in Las Vegas, and that's me and my wife about that time. Okay, now we're going to switch gears and go into why you might want to make a video, reasons for a video strategy. Well, you want to educate potential customers on your value proposition. And if you don't know what a value proposition is, it's how you solve problems and satisfy needs with your product and service for potential customers. And when you do this, you can include success stories and testimonials from people, everything to show people that having your product or service can satisfy their needs. And if you become part of that video, what you do is you build trust because they see you, they put a face on it. This is traditional video marketing. And it works best when your viewer is ready to buy. In other words, they're searching and they're looking for somebody that, they're looking for you. They're looking for what you do. But most people make the mistake of stopping their video marketing campaign at this point. They don't realize that there's more they could and should be doing. You need to nurture your subscribers or audience until they are ready to buy if they aren't the people that are looking for a product or service right now. Later in this presentation, we're going to go into the next steps of what we'll call content marketing. What we'll show will help you take marketing video to the next step. Before we go into both traditional and content marketing, however, let's look at some of the trends that are going on right now. Four times as many customers would rather watch than read. 43% want more video content from marketers. 98% of users have watched explainer or how-to videos. 83% say explainer videos drive in business. 74% who watch explainer videos make a purchase based on watching that. And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
YouTube is the second most used search engine next to Google, and Google owns YouTube. People share emotion when video impresses them, and if you can impress them with your video, they're more likely to share that. Video on social media is important for your exposure and engagement, and I think that the more people that you get engaged, it helps you develop business down the line. It isn't an immediate process, but people that are engaged become connected to you and they trust you. And just some of the ways people are using video today: Instagram Stories, Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube live streaming. YouTube has a very robust live streaming feature. And many of the customers we use, even in the professional market, they'll have us set up a player on their YouTube channel, and they have people tune into that. So let's look at a little bit as far as the statistics. Video can increase landing page conversions by 80%. 76% of viewers say they'd share entertaining videos. 69% of viewers say they'd share a video if it may be of interest. and 65% of viewers would share an informative video. So 97% would share entertaining, interesting, or informative videos. So this shows that if you do something that's going to entertain, interest, or inform people, you're going to expand your customer base and people that know about you by using a video. And if 97% say they would share it, that means only 3% wouldn't be sharing your videos. Here's a chart that shows a little bit on the proliferation of mobile devices, and you can see obviously from around 0 in 2011, as smartphones have become more powerful, everybody's watching video on their smartphone. And this chart shows the percentage of video types produced by brands in 2017. And a brand is a company. And I'm just going to leave this here for a few seconds so you can see the kind of videos that it talks about. Okay, I'm going to move on. This next slide shows what happens online in 60 seconds. And what's interesting is that in 1 minute, 500 hours of YouTube videos are uploaded. And most YouTube videos are short, they're a minute, a few minutes. So that's in 1 minute. And Facebook, look at that, 3.3 million. And just the email sent. So everything's online, and video is an online tool. Now we'll talk about the results from using video. Video on landing page increases conversion by 80%. That's pretty impressive. Videos create 41% more search traffic, 3% more inbound blog links if you use video on your blog, and 12 times more social media shares. Emails, 40% higher email engagement. That means people are going to read your emails and respond to you 40% higher than if you didn't have video. And these are all statistics that are out there, so I'm not making this stuff up. So what we're seeing is more and more video being produced by companies. And at this point, people expect you to use video. And if they don't, they're saying, where are these people? They're not current. But video must be of value to the viewer, or it is just clutter, because there's so many emails and so much everything that people are getting every day. And let me just stop for a minute here and go over my notes, because I want to make a good point here. Traditional marketing, as we described earlier, including print, mailings, and video, is more brand-centric. And that's transparently promotional, because what you're doing is you're talking about your brand, your product. It involves devising core messaging about your brand and its offerings. And quite honestly, with all the marketing content being produced and vying for attention and time to stand out, you have to be more customer-centric towards providing value to your audience, particularly when planning a video campaign. Thinking about effective marketing is thinking less about your audience as a pool of potential leads and more like engaged subscribers. And that's where we are going to go to get into video as part of a content marketing plan. potential leads become engaged subscribers. Engaged viewers want to learn more and become subscribers to your video offerings. You've seen videos like we mentioned earlier that address a product or service, the value proposition. Think of all the infomercials you've seen where the problems, the solution, and the benefits are the focus. This draws you in because you identify with the problem, and if you are ready to buy, and that's key, you will. However, it doesn't keep you engaged. If you become an engaged viewer, you become interested in learning more. And these are some of the things you can do to provide video content that will engage viewers and make them become a subscriber, a fan of yours, look for more content from you. You could provide interesting industry news from your business segment, industry trends, new product demos, topics of interest, which is kind of general, but it will start you thinking about things that you could be talking about. Panel talk show presentations. And you can use video in all your email campaigns. So if you're going to be doing a mailing where you're using mass mailings, if you have a video link in it that tells your story, that's going to get more of a response than if you don't, and people are going to identify with you more. And talk show format shows. And let me get back to my notes for a second. Doing a video for this type of communication has repeatedly proven to be a star performer among content formats. The combination of audio and visual media just elicits our greatest sensory engagement. One of the most effective engagement formats from the list above seems to be the talk show type of interview or discussion. You, or if you want a more professional approach, a video production company like us can set this up anywhere where there is room, or you can go to facilities designed for this format. I've got a still image here from one of the facilities that is in town, and this is a company where they'll do a talk show for you, a half-hour talk show for a half hour for $99. That's all they charge. And what you see is a green screen and mics, and they record it, and they'll give you the file on a little USB stick that you bring. So you go in for a half hour, you spend $99, and you've got your talk show. That's called Danny Vegas Live, incidentally. Now what you're seeing here is the local PBS channel, where they have a very well-equipped station where they have all the technicians and all the equipment, and you just go in and you can get your talk show done there. And if you need a producer to produce that for you, we're happy to do that. A talk show gives your audience the sense that they are participating in the most important conversation of the moment. Listening to respected experts in their field discuss the prevailing trends and issues gives them the sense that they are fulfilling their professional responsibilities to keep themselves informed. And if the show is well made, it should actually be doing these things. The job of a talk show producer is to actually provide this kind of information valuable for their audience. Aside from a core mission of driving your bottom line by turning subscribers into sales, doing this kind of content marketing can also yield powerful positioning for your brand in the broader sense of your niche. And you can repackage the audio portion of the talk show to create a podcast for subscribers who prefer to listen to your content on their commute or anywhere else where they're mobile. And a huge plus with the talk show format that as you transcribe your show, you generate pages and pages of expert conversation that can be mined for quotes and paragraphs to be used in your blog articles and other content that you want to put out. By creating consistent serial content and delivering on a promised schedule, be it daily, weekly, or monthly, you build expectation and anticipation with your audience. This signals to that audience that you are committed to a long-term relationship and helps establish trust. And your subscriber base, but let me start this one again. As your content marketing strategy unfolds and your subscriber base grows, you'll begin to occupy mind share in your market niche. And if you use any kind of marketing automation, you're gathering information on all these subscribers that you can use for any offers or any other kind of contacts. And when subscribers start looking deeper into you and they're paying attention to everything that you're putting out, they'll be looking more deeper at product and pricing information. Chances are, when they are ready to purchase or almost ready to make a purchase, they're going to purchase from you. And that's what I talked about, gathering the information. And that's what I talked about, when they are ready to buy, they'll know where to go. Now you can show them your value proposition when they're getting close to getting ready to buy, where you show the value of your product or service to them. Okay, we're going to switch gears again, and I'm going to talk very briefly about the video process. There are three phases of video production: pre-production, production, and post-production. Pre-production is the planning. It's the scripting, and it's the location scouting. It's the determining the equipment needed, the testing, the practicing, and really getting ready for a shoot. People think that when you do a video, you just show up with a camera and you turn it on and that's how you do it. That's not really the case if you want the results to be good and if you want to get results from them. You have to do all the planning, and that's what pre-production is. And what I'm showing you here is a simple storyboard that you can make that can describe what you're going to do. And if you don't even want to be that artistic, you can make it even simpler. You can do something like this with either a Word document or with a spreadsheet where you have one column for audio and one for video. And you can have other columns for like location where you're going to do the shooting, so that you could sort by that column and do all those type of scenes all at once. Now let's talk about production. Production is when you actually shoot the video and you make certain you have all your needed shots marked off on your script, and you've cared for continuity of going from one scene to the next and segues. If using a teleprompter, you would have your text typed in during the planning phase and use the prompter during your production phase. These are just some shots of some of the stuff that we do on location. This is a very simple teleprompter that uses an iPad, and they're not very expensive. They're like $300. And what you do is, while you're shooting, if you have equipment that can do it, you mark in your time code for the various shots as they occur. You pick the shots that were the best shots, because when you go to the post-production phase, which is the editing, now you already know which are the takes that you're going to use. So now let's go into post-production. Post-production is where you select the footage that you just shot. If you're going to have voiceovers, you get them created, and if people want to contact me later on, I'll tell you how to easily, inexpensively get those done. You get music created, and I'll again tell you how you can do that very inexpensively. You do any required animation or graphics, and you put it all on a timeline. This is a timeline. All those different color things you see on the timeline are different clips, and you've got audio and video there. Now, let me just mention that that looks like it's really expensive software. It's part of Adobe Creative Cloud, which is a suite of all the creative applications from Adobe that it's yours on a subscription basis. You could use as many or as few as you want, and it costs about $50 a month. The timeline that you saw was Adobe Premiere Pro, and you make your animations and graphics either in there or more involved ones in After Effects. You have Photoshop and all that. So it's all included. Now what I'm going to do a little bit is shift gears again, and I'm going to move to some inexpensive equipment that you could use to start making video. And, you know, people may make fun of making video with a smartphone, but let me tell you, with the horsepower and with the cameras on some of these devices, you can make excellent video if you know how to use it. It isn't necessarily the device, it's knowing how to use it. Okay, the PowerPoint is doing weird things for me, but okay. Video quality is always based on equipment. It's based on how the equipment is used, which I just said. There are apps that you can put on your iPhone that give you all kinds of more features than the stock cameras, where you can adjust exposure, you can adjust the color of the video, you can do 4K video, you can get most of the controls that you can get on a real video camera. There's two of them. I use Movie Pro, and I like that. Next, it starts with getting a good, solid, non-shaking camera image. And you can buy inexpensive tripods that will mount a smartphone directly, or you can get an adapter like this where you mount your phone on it and it mounts on a tripod, and you can get a good tripod and an expensive one, whatever you decide to do. Or if you want to get a little fancier and you want to make videos where you're moving around and you want to keep the image smooth, well, this is a gimbal from DJI, and it costs $129, and you can walk, you can run, you can provide all kinds of motion to your video, and it will be completely smooth. What's often overlooked when people try making a video on a smartphone is that you need to get good audio. And just using the camera on your phone, unless you're right in front of somebody, isn't going to work very well. There are adapters you can buy which will allow you to use professional microphones. Like this one allows you to use XLR connected professional microphones. And it also gives you the opportunity to listen to what you're recording with one of the apps that I showed you earlier, where you can control the sound, so you can make certain that you're getting good sound. Or if you want to get a wireless system, there are wireless systems for under $100, such as something like this, and there's tons of them that you can find on Amazon. Or you can go to a more professional system which will plug into that adapter that I showed you. Like we use Sennheiser mics usually, and though this is about $100, Sennheisers are closer to $700. And if you're going to be using more than one mic, you're going to need some kind of a mixer. And this one is, again, under $100 on Amazon, and there's tons of different ones on Amazon. And it allows you to plug professional mics into that and to mix. And if you're going to have more mics and you're getting really serious about this, and particularly if you want to move along to more professional equipment, you can buy mixers that will give you multiple inputs, as many as you have. We have mixers that have 18 inputs. This one has 4 XLRs and a few other phono plug inserts too. Now, if you do want to move to better equipment, here is a good example of a camera under $1,000. It's $849. It's a Sony AX53. It shoots in HD or 4K. It has a gimbal built into it so that you can move with it, and it provides very, very steady video. It looks like you're on a tripod. And we use this one when our bigger cameras would be too obtrusive and we have to look more like a tourist than a video professional. And we get away with a lot of things using this small camera. These are some of our cameras, and we have about 30 of them, and they shoot HD and they shoot 4K, and we have gimbal cameras and all kinds of stuff. Okay, now we spoke about video for marketing, but we didn't talk about some of the other uses that you can use video for. And if you're going to be putting on a seminar or a presentation, you've probably put a lot of work into that seminar or presentation, and once you show it, what do you have left to show other people for all the work that you've done? Plus, you can monetize that by packaging it as files you can put online and charge to view, or DVDs, which is kind of passé now. Or for the people that are attending your presentation, you can just give them the video as value added to them coming to the presentation. What about live streaming? If you're going to put on a presentation, you're limited to the people that could physically come to your property. With live streaming, your audience becomes the world, and you can do this for anything at all. You can do it for your talk shows. You can do it for just talking about a product that you want to talk about. And live streaming isn't as complicated as you think it might be. We have some pretty expensive systems, but you can get inexpensive systems too. You can do training videos. If you have facilities that are spread apart and you want to get the best practice for all your employees to be employing, well, you can give them the correct, concise message that could be distributed to all those facilities. If you have high turnover, you might be able to avoid some of that high turnover just by properly training people so they know what they're doing and they're happier. Plus, if you have attrition for other reasons, you can't just train people individually because the message is going to change over time. So a training video gives that concise, repeatable, correct message. Now, I mentioned live streaming and how you can do it inexpensively. If you have a laptop, here's a device from Magewell where it's about $300, and what it does is it lets you connect any HDMI camera just with a USB port to a laptop, and you can stream. We have TriCasters that we use. We have vMix, which is a software-based device. Wirecast. You can get all these and use them for live streaming. Lights you're going to need. These are LED lights. They're inexpensive. You can get them anywhere from $100 to $300. They can be battery or AC powered. Okay, now I can talk about equipment that you can get, and I can go on and on, but that's better that you talk to me offline about, because I don't want to take all your time up. I can talk to you about microphones, I can talk to you about mixers and whatever. But to give you some time to ask any questions, I'm going to give you a summary of what we just discussed. Video is everywhere. You saw the trends. Video for conventional video value proposition marketing is when you talk about the problems that your product or service solves and the needs that it satisfies. And this is valuable when somebody is ready to buy and they're looking for what you provide. Video for content marketing and building subscription base is when you're nurturing potential customers and you're building trust and you're developing a niche, a mindset market of who you are in the market so that they recognize you're the expert in that. We went over the video production process just briefly, and I can give anybody more information on how to do that when they want. And I showed you some inexpensive equipment to get you started. I showed you other uses of video, training, presentation, recording, and if you think about it now that we've just touched on some of this, I'm sure you're going to be able to think of other uses that you can use for video. You know, I give an interesting anecdote out here that I moved from New York, and when I came out here, I was surprised that people weren't using more video, because in New York, video was used for just about any kind of corporate messaging. It was used for internal communications. It was used for training, it was used for marketing, and it was used for sales. And we have all kinds of success stories, even out here, like we had one company that came to us, and they were a window tinting company, and their process was they would go out and they would give a bid, and they had about a 30 or 40% close rate. Well, what we did is we built them a video that showed the advantages of using their product, and while they were measuring, preparing that bid, they had a little DVD player, portable, and they would let the customer watch that. And just from changing that one practice of letting the customer get brainwashed why they should buy from them, their close rate went up from 30, 40% to over 80%. So, you know, there are a lot of uses for video. A lot of what I took from talking about marketing is from this guide right here, and I just provide it so that if anybody's interested in learning more, particularly about content marketing, there it is, and it's not me saying this, it's just me telling you about it. And now it's time for questions.
So we're sharing the screen right now, everyone. So if you do have questions, use *7 on your phone to unmute. I am going to exit out of this screen here really quick so we can go back into the actual system so I can see your questions. You can also use the chat bar as well. I know I have a few questions. For you, Richard, I wrote a couple down. In regarding the trends that are going on, I've seen a lot of Las Vegas companies, particularly on the Strip, using video to like promote a couple of like menu items on restaurants, and then locations, you know, highlighting like the Hoover Dam, Grand Canyon, our nature around here. But how about for businesses that maybe don't have, food or, like you said, the window tinting? What are other, particular industries that you've seen and helped to kind of make their products more appealing, So besides the window tinting.
Well, just about any company can benefit from having a value that shows their value proposition. Remember, we spoke about what the value proposition is? Because if you can convince people that you're going to satisfy their need or solve their problem, they're going to look to you as the source to do that. So, Rachel, to answer your question, any company at all should be using a video. We've done videos for lawyers. We've done videos for companies that provide a professional service. We've done videos for companies that produce products. All of them designed to show that their product or service is going to satisfy the need that the person is looking to satisfy.
Okay. And then have you seen any videos or, when people are videoing panels, like panels that have gone wrong, things that in videos that you've seen that maybe people shouldn't have done? Probably these are things you shouldn't do in your videos?
Well, as we said in the video production process, what's important is to plan a little bit before you go into it. So you're going to have an agenda, what you're going to talk about, and unless this is something that you really want off the spur of the cuff and you don't want any embarrassments, you'll talk to your people ahead of time what they're going to talk about. Of course, if you want to have embarrassments and you want to have acrimony and you want something that people probably are going to see as entertainment, well, then you could have that. But I guess the best thing to say is you want to prepare. You don't want to just show up and let things kind of unfold. I mean, a lot of these talk shows, you think that they're just happening. That's not the case. There's a lot of planning that goes into that, just like reality TV. The reality is the furthest thing from what these things are. They're totally scripted, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, that's really true. A lot of our reality TV, in quotations, isn't reality. It's snippets of what actually happened and thrown together in one overall video to make us believe, it did happen, but it didn't all happen in that sequence.
And let me tell you, when we do interviews and testimonials, a lot of times people will have an idea of what they want to say, but they can't say it concisely, they can't make the points. And what you can do, people, is you can help them get the message out that you want to get out. Because we'll talk to a client where we're going to make a video and we'll say, all right, what problems do you solve for your customers and how do you do it better than other people? And lots of times they've never even thought about that, and we'll get them thinking about that, and that develops their competitive advantage and their value proposition. And if we go doing testimonials, we'll have a bunch of points that we want people to make, and if somebody isn't saying it clearly and they're coming close to it, well, there's nothing wrong with helping them say it correctly. Tell them what to say.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Does anybody else have any questions for Richard? Otherwise, we are going to wrap up here. Give you a couple of seconds. No? All righty then. Well, thank you so much, Richard, for coming in today. We're going to sign off, but be sure to tune in next week. We're on Chamber U. We are talking about HR solutions for small business. So everybody needs HR. So thanks so much. Have a great weekend.